Scott Engel of RotoExperts.com, SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, here with Phillies closer Jonathan Papelbon. Jonathan, around the league, there's so many closers that are like losing their jobs because of injuries or performance. But, you know, you've been able to stay solid, you know, stay in the role. What's the key to your continued success?
Well, you know, I won the genetical Powerball. So that's just basically what it boils down to, you know.
What do you think is the key for like sustaining success in the league? You know, when jobs are changing so much as a closer.
You know, I think it's such a volatile role, you know, and people don't really understand it. I think you got to understand the role to really know what goes into it, and you know, I really do think that it's a do or die situation every time you go out there. So you know, and the game has changed to where, you know, every manager, every general manager is looking for the next best thing. And that's just how the game's always going to be. And the closer's role is so volatile, so I think they tend to always look for the next best thing in a closer. And a closer is someone that you can't duplicate, you know. A lot of general managers these days are trying to, you know, put together a bullpen committee to close out, which I don't think works, or take a 7th or 8th inning guy and make him a closer, which I don't think works either. You know, I think it's something that you're almost born to be a closer, or you're not. Period.
It's almost like Rocky IV, right? The warrior.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're saying you believe, you know, because some people debate about this, is there a certain closer mentality? You have to have the mentality?
No doubt. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. The mentality that I've always said, which Mariano told me in my first All-Star game, was, he said, "Pop, no memory." I was like, what the hell does no memory mean, you know? And so he told me that, and I finally clicked in my head. I said, what he's talking about? You know, don't always remember the good ones and don't always remember the bad ones. Just take one day at a time. So I've used that my whole career.
So, you know, you're a long time with the Phillies now, and, you know, looking at this team now, it's a veteran ball club, but you got young guys coming up. You know, what do you think of Dominic Brown? How good can he be?
Yeah, you know, Dom's a great player, great athlete. You know, I think our team is surrounded by a bunch of athletes, but we also have to do the little things right. You know, right now we're kind of struggling of playing fundamental baseball. We got a lot of great guys on this team, but we got to play that fundamental baseball to win games.
Are there any closers that you look at around the league and say, you know, that guy's on the way up, or I'm very impressed by him?
Well, obviously you look at Kimbrel and you say, you know, he's the next wave of great closers to come along. And, you know, I've been able to compete against him for the last few years, which I've enjoyed. And, you know, to me, he's the one that kind of stands out in my mind right now.
You play fantasy. How do you react when people say they've drafted you in fantasy?
Well, I always try to do my coach is good, you know. So, you know, fantasy has become so big these days and so huge, and it's almost taken over sports. And you know, I'm a big avid sports guy and a big avid fantasy guy. So, you know, I love every sport, and I played them all as a kid, and so I love playing fantasy. And you know, it's taken over the game to a certain extent, but you know, you hear more nowadays, and you hear people cheering. You say, I need a save, I need some points or something like that. And I'm like, look, man, I'm just trying to go out and get a save. I don't care about your fantasy team. But when you're on the reverse end of that and you're playing fantasy football, you think the same way. So I get it.
So one last question for you here. You know, you just don't dabble in fantasy football. You like other fantasy sports besides football?
Yeah, you know, I play daily fantasy. I play it all. You know, I think I'm just an adrenaline junkie. You know, I just love the action. I'm an action junkie, and I love action every day, man. So fantasy and daily fantasy is the way to get it for me, man.
John, thanks a lot.
Okay, Scotty.